I hope all is well. Sorry about the delay. I feel like I was trying to do this for the longest time, and I just was going like I just kept pushing it back. So I'm like, let me just get this out the way. So let me get my camera together so I don't have the wrong stuff in my video. This way, my camera is literally doing what it wants to do. But good evening. So the question I want to ask everyone tonight is: have you subscribed to my channel? And if you haven't, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Do me that favor one time for the mind, please. Thank you very much. And outside of that, here we go. Perfect. I'm trying to not get this bright light in the background. Okay, here we are. So perfect. So one question I want to know tonight is: have you guys ever, if you have locks, have you ever felt like you've been treated differently at work or at school because of your dreadlocks? Because of how you choose to wear your hair? Is that something you've experienced? I've been loose natural before. I've had perms. I've wore weaves. I've wore protective styles. I've worn different kind of hairstyles in my life, and I feel like at certain stages of my life, I did hear different comments from different people that I did know that I didn't know that was somewhat offensive. And I've even done interviews with people regarding having natural hair in the work environment. And one thing I can say is, in certain environments, it's a different feel, a different stigma, a different authenticity regarding what an employee should look like, as well as what an employee should represent at work, as far as a clean, neat appearance. So first things first, I wanted to ask you guys, like, what is the wildest thing anyone has ever said to you? I have bags. Oh my gosh, no makeup. Sorry, this is a fresh face, no makeup. What is the wildest thing anyone has ever said to you regarding your hair at work? I've definitely had some crazy things be said to me. Hey, Irby, how are you? Thank you for popping in. Shout out to Florida. What is like the craziest thing someone has said to you about your hair? And I feel like between being loose natural and having locks, I have had some weird, crazy compliments to me. Happy holidays. And I feel like one of the wildest compliments someone ever made to me regarding my hair specifically was, is that how it's supposed to look? Is your hair done? Is it done? Like, that's how it's supposed to look? I feel like that's one of the wildest things anyone has ever said to me regarding my hair. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that was definitely offensive. Like, what do you mean is that what it's supposed to look like? What do you mean if it's done? Yes, it's done. Yes, that's what it's supposed to look like. It's locks. It has its own look, and it doesn't look like a perm or a relaxer or a weave or a wig or anything else. So I wanted to take a time out to just say shout out to the cynical one who was here early. I wasn't ready. I was doing something really cool with my daughter. I'm gonna post that to YouTube soon. Me and my daughter had a mommy daughter moment. We were actually cooking together in the kitchen, and homegirl did most of the cooking. She really did most of the cooking, so I'm gonna definitely post about that soon. But that's why I'm a little bit delayed. 'Cause I was trying to like get this done and get that done, and like try to show her stuff and be patient and not like try to rush through anything, But that was that. So first things up, out of that, if you guys have any comments about the wildest thing that ever happened to you at work with someone saying something crazy to you about your hair or in public, out and about, on the go, and someone said something really wild about your hair to you, please put it in the chat. Again, I'm gonna go back to say the wildest thing someone ever said to me about my hair was, is your hair done? Like, is that what it's supposed to look like? Like, that was the wild thing someone said to me. And I was like, yes, my hair is done. This is what it's supposed to look like. And I'm not changing my hair. This is how my hair is going to look. So that's the wild thing anyone has ever said to me on my life journey. Like, they saw my hair and they looked at it like, that's done. Like, that's what it's supposed to look like. And I'm like, yeah, it's supposed to look like it's done. And that was a shock to some people. So I do want to take a moment, to pause for my conversation to send a special shout out to Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Special shout out to Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. He has just reached his 1K subscriber on his channel. Shout out to Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. He has just reached 1,000 subscribers on his channel. He's having a celebration tonight at 10:30. Please subscribe and like and share to Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. He has just reached 1K. That is definitely my goal as well. So please do me that favor and shout that man out. Uncommon sense for Jose Negron. So yes, moving forward in my conversation, next thing I want to talk about is, the discrimination in the lock community. Irby Fatal is in the chat. Shout out to Irby Fatal, representing Florida. He was one of the first people to tell me about this story about this young boy, and I believe in Texas, that was suspended from school for having dreadlocks. The school wanted to suspend the child for having the hairstyle. They wanted him to cut the hair, change his hair. They didn't want the style in school. And long story short, I think the family ended up suing, and lo and behold, a whole big law came out of that entire situation. And the law that came outside of that situation regarding the young gentleman in Texas who was having problems in school because of his dreadlocks, a law came out called the Crown Act. Anyone, let me know right now in the chat. Have you heard of the Crown Act? The Crown Act is new. It was signed in about 27 or 28 states in the United States of America. And this law is a law that is allowing people of different ethnicities, to wear their hair, their crown, their head, and the style they want to wear their hair or their crown in without any bias or discrimination or any kind of ill will or any kind of funny business to them at all. It's called the Crown Act. Now, sorry, it just lost my earpiece. Now, with that being said, a lot of us, yes, I am a vegan. Yes, I am. Um, so a lot of us have taken opportunities to get a job, and we've had job descriptions saying that we need to have a professional hair, look, and appearance at work. If you've ever had a job interview, if you've ever been completed a job application, if you've ever been to a job orientation, you've ever been to a workshop, a webinar, you've been to courses, classes regarding getting ready back to work, you've all heard the saying of have a professional, neat, clean appearance. And with that being said, sometimes that means your hair looking clean and neat in appearance at the worksite and location. And what that means is, yes, I do love animals. I love leaves. I love plants. I love nature. Um, Moving forward, when they say have a professional, neat, clean appearance, that means you should smell good. You should, be clean in presence. Your clothes should be clean. Your clothes should be ironed. They shouldn't be smelly or stained or anything like that. They should look pretty good. You should carry yourself well groomed. You should, not have too much excessive facial hair or too much excessive body hair or body odor or any of that. So, with all that being said, it goes into your appearance. There are times that dreadlocks do not look like, allegedly to some people, clean and neat in appearance. And because of that, there can be discrimination at the workplace or at school, hence the young boy in Texas who was suspended for having dreadlocks and not wanting to cut his dreadlocks. So, with all that being said, punishment has been, enforced on people. People have been disqualified from having job opportunities because of how they wear their hair, because of stigmas and negative stereotypes about people with dreadlocks. So, with that conversation comes the Crown Act, where there is no discrimination about people who tend to wear their hair in dreadlocks, braids, twists, natural hairstyles, because that's their belief, whether it's cultural, spiritual, or what they choose to do for affordability. There should not be any discrimination for any person, male, female, trans, bi, gender, binary. No classification of persons or people in the world or in the country should be discriminated on because of their hair, especially including dreadlocks. So, with that being said, pretty much it's like if you have dreadlocks and you've been discriminated against, or if you have loose natural hair, or if you've had braids or twists and you feel like you've been denied a job application, denied a job interview, denied an opportunity for advancement at work, the Crown Act is here to protect you. With the Crown Act in these 27 to 28 states, you should not have to worry about that being your problem. So some of the 28 states are definitely the states we know about. Have you guys heard about this Crown Act? I'm talking about pretty much lack discrimination in the United States of America, the new law, the Crown Act that protects people from wearing their hair naturally, dreadlock, loose natural braids or twists. so they're not discriminated against. So corporate America doesn't look like everyone has a perm or a wig or a weave or straight, long, you know, professional quote unquote hair. Protection against people of ethnic different backgrounds and different cultures to wear their hair the way they want to express their hair. So that's what I'm talking about. So if you're not familiar with the conversation, if you're not familiar with the topic, if you're uneducated about the topic, um, you can exit left if you would like to, because I understand you may not have nothing to add to the conversation. Moving forward, again, anyone heard about the Crown Act? Anyone familiar with these conversations? Anyone ever, felt discriminated for their hair, the way they wear their hair at work or school, and had any kind of negatory, um, discriminatory status quo pro kind of situation happens to them because of how they wear their hair, specifically dreadlocks or loose natural or braids or twists specifically. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you, Paul. Moving forward, all these conversations are important because I feel like there was a time where people were discriminated for and still are to now because of how they, tend to wear their hair. Again, taking it back to the young man in Texas. A shame. He's not even an adult yet, but he went through a lot of trials and tribulations because of his hair as a young kid, which can be scarring on him for the rest of his life. Just knowing that in corporate America, in America, period, in the workforce, you are definitely judged on your appearance, not on your education, not on your experience, not on your credentials, but on your appearance. You can be smart, intelligent, have credentials, degrees, experience, and everything. But if your physical outside appearance doesn't look to par, it can block you and sometimes limit you for having, things you may want to achieve, which is pretty much not cool at all. But it's a real fact, so you definitely need to know that. Um, Again, if you haven't heard of the Crown Act, definitely be sure to Google it, look it up on YouTube, search it online, however you find your search engines, and you'll definitely find out more about the Crown Act. I'm going to actually put that in the chat right now, too. Crown Act. If I can. Okay, I'm not sure how to do it. I'm actually streaming from my phone right now. I'm not sure how to do that. So, again, so far in my life journey, I have not had any experiences with any type of discrimination or negativity regarding locks. But I did take the opportunity to do a survey and a poll recently, just asking people in different work environments, different backgrounds about their experiences with dreadlocks or loose natural hair or twists or braids, and asking them, were they familiar with the Crown Act? And honestly, half the people said they were familiar with the Crown Act, and half the people actually said they never had a discriminatory issue at work or school with any kind of management or employee or coworker at all about anything. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, okay, that's a good thing. Despite what the past has shown statistically with movies and films and documentaries, is not something that's consistently happening, maybe, or maybe people just not talking about it as much. But I feel like it's fair to say that people are actually taking the opportunity to be able to express themselves physically with their hair, their clothes, body modification. It's becoming more of a norm, regarding the type of people you're going to see in the workplace. It's not so traditional. Again, just like the kind of protecting people at school and at work, for all kind of, you know, reasons to not discriminate against someone. So that's definitely really important because again, we're all created equally, allegedly, but we're all created equally. We know we are when, people that look like different faces and shades of colors of melon, on the scope of the color hue. That's when we actually know we're all really created equally. We're all getting the actual same exact opportunities and we're not being cast off because of generational bloodlines or, friendships at work. We're all actually treated equally. It's not just passed down to friends and relatives and things like that. We're all actually given the fair chance. And that's kind of something we're still not actually getting right now in real time. But moving along, again, while I haven't really experienced any discrimination with my dreadlocks, I definitely experienced discrimination while I was loose natural. And that was a little bit different, a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit weird, but I think more companies now are accepting employees with dreadlocks. I think it's more of a norm now. It's something that we're seeing in different ethnic backgrounds, different cultures. More people, young, middle age, older, have dreadlocks. Some of them are sister locks, some of them are wigs, some of them are interlock, instant locks, fake locks, crochet locks, but it's something that I can say is really kind of normalish now. You can definitely go to your local school, library, shopping mall, gas station, supermarket, and see someone somewhere with locks. It's not so rare. I feel like in the 80s and 70s and 90s, it was more scarce. Now it's not as scarce as it used to be. You're going to definitely see someone with locks within your 100-mile radius, depending on how active you are in the streets, how far you're going. You're gonna see some old locks. Like it's not a thing like, oh my gosh, dreadlocks. Ooh, ooh. It's not that thing anymore. Like more and more people now have dreadlocks. Real talk. Like every said, yes, it's popular. It's something that's really, really happening. Like it's not like, ooh, what's that? Are they a gangbang? Are they affiliated? Are they doing things illegally? Are they a mafia or a cartel? It doesn't have that same stigmatism as it's had, 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's definitely changed up a lot. Now again, most of you guys haven't timed in or chopped in and said you experienced any of these things in real time or not. And again, I haven't really experienced a lot of these in real time myself either. But looking at TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, the news, the media outlets, the bloggers, there's always these conversations coming across, regarding people saying that, this is the experience they're having and these are the situations. And it's really unfortunate because again, it just goes to let you know that we're all still not really created equally. Despite what they say, we're really not. We're really not all still created equally. And this is why we still have discrimination on various levels, to the point where some of us who should be in different profits and different positions and opportunities we're still 20, 30, 40, 50 years behind the line because of personal things that have nothing to do with the intelligence or the experience or, the credentials of the person or the human being or the talent, so to say. So it's definitely, a situation where you feel like, hopefully in the near future, it's something that's going to get better, it's going to evolve to be something, where HR won't look at it sideways, or the union won't look at it sideways, or employees won't look at it sideways, or stakeholders, or shareholders, or, industries don't look at it sideways. Hopefully it'll be more openly accepted more and more and more as time goes on. Like that's the goal, that's the vision, and again, you shouldn't always necessarily have to have your locks look neat, so to say, all the time, you know. But again, I feel like everyone should be created equally. And again, if you don't want to have a fresh, neat retwist like mine's, which is not super neat, it's about 2 weeks old, but if you don't want to have a neat appearance every day at work, you have dreadlocks or loose natural hair or braids and twists, that should be your preference. As long as you don't smell funky or give off a bad odor or vibe or, give off a wrinkled, dingy, unclean appearance, that should be just fine. Your hair on your head should not define your entire body. If you're having a bad hair day, that shouldn't make the rest of you, look or seem unprofessional. We all have bad hair days, bad days in general, and sometimes when it's not just our best at work, it's normal. It happens. It definitely happens. But outside of that, I'm happy to see the Crown Act exists. I'm happy to see that the Crown Act is in at least 27 states, and those states include Alaska, Arizona, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. Those are the 27 to 28 states that are currently, enforcing and respecting and in full totality representing the Crown Act. And again, you can Google, YouTube, ask about it, word of mouth about the Crown Act. Now, to be fair, it's understandable to say that, you may see people with dreadlock descendants, in certain cultures and geographical backgrounds, which seems like it makes sense. Example, Jamaica, the Caribbeans, the US, Africa, UK, Europe, Middle East, Asia, countries like that, you'll feel like dreadlocks and locks, those are normalized. Irby says, not in Florida. I didn't see Florida on the list, Irby. There still are states that are pending the Crown Act that they haven't got the full approval yet, but I didn't see it fully through for Florida. So it may be pending for Florida, but I didn't see it up there. I also didn't see Georgia up there. And Georgia should definitely be up there, So maybe it's like updating delayed or, case by case. Once they get the full approval, they're updating the states up there. But I'm not really sure about that. But that's what I saw when I checked today, was doing some research. Those were the 27 to 28 states. So I know they're updating states, updating the documents, in real time, as these actual laws go through. But I know Pennsylvania just recently was online signing their bill saying that yes, this is being indoctrinated, or installized or institutionalized or embedded in Pennsylvania. So I saw Pennsylvania was online just recently signing their community government political action figure or activist, from that state was pretty much speaking on their behalf for Pennsylvania. So I did see that. But again, we all know, to be on subject, that locks can be work friendly, depending on how you wear them. And sometimes, the wild, rough look feels comfortable, looks good on the individual. It may not be appropriate to everyone, but it feels good, looks good. It's what the person needs on their head to keep maintenance, So it is what it is. It really is what it is. As long as you're not getting approached by HR about your grooming and your personal habits, you should be just fine. But again, the Crown Act, the Crown Act, the Crown Act, the Crown Act. The Crown Act is a thing being actually official in 27 to 28 states. I just mentioned those 27 to 28 states. Not sure if you guys can see this, but I took the liberty of writing down what those states are. And again, Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan. I think that's Minnesota. What else does that say? Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, um, New York, Oregon, Tennessee, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. So, again, there are definitely more states pending on the list. But I guess the way it works, once they get the full approval, then they add the state there. But again, we know people in Florida and Georgia that have lots all over the place. So I'm pretty sure those states are the next to come up for that conversation. And again, I do think, locks are being more acceptably mainstream. I'm not sure what you guys think in real time, but you guys can definitely take a moment to come back later in the replay to add your commentary about what you think, about this conversation. But I'm happy to see it. Of course, because I'm a lock queen, baddie, whatever you want to call me. Dreadlock Diaries, I'm always sharing my tea. I'm happy to see it because it's been a long time coming. There were a lot of stereotypical things out there about dreadlocks, and of course the word dreadlock term itself has a derogatory negative terminology if you know the understanding and reading behind that, but we're not gonna go there. We're gonna keep it based on a conversation. And the conversation today is, the Crown Act. Employers, companies, jobs cannot do this anymore. Now, if you work for yourself as an entrepreneur, you don't have this issue at all. As an entrepreneur, there is no one discriminating you based on your hair type, whether you have dreadlocks, braids, twists, free form locks, wigs. No one's discriminating on that. You're running a business, it's being professional, it's being documented, credentialed. You should be doing the better business of your community and your goals and your missions, and your values for your statements. And you should be putting your best foot forward if you're a business owner of whatever kind, whatever industry, does not matter. You should be putting your best foot forward and giving your best. And, if that means showing up with a suit sometimes, showing up with a suit. If that means, you having a clean establishment, that means having a clean establishment. If that means you have good shipping time, then that's good shipping time. Whatever it is to meet that goal, to meet that consumer need, to keep you afloat is what you should be doing. And of course, they always say first impression is the best impression. So how can you mess up with that? Um, but again, that's what I got. I wanted to talk about this. Shout out to Obi Fatal again. Shout out to Uncommon Sense with Jose No Grown, who made his 1K subscriber count this week. Shout out to him. And hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. Hope you guys could relate to it, understood it. Um, and if you know, you know. And in closing this up, I want to just say, I asked a lot of people that actually personally know or worked with or seen it passing in my neighborhood, friends of friends. And, a lot of people said they understood the situation with locks in the workplace and the professionalism aspect of it, and the maintenance of, its appearance and being clean and neat, and some people actually said they understood how, maybe certain people with dreadlocks probably wouldn't go up the promotional pole of director and manager and CEO and CFO because of their appearance, which is sad but true. And I understand that. And I kind of believe that too because appearance and first impressions are everything. If the first impression or appearance of someone meeting you is unkept, not clean, smelly, dirty, gang affiliated, your experience, your cleanliness, your attitude, your accreditations, your credentials don't mean anything for that person because all they see you as is that first appearance they met. Your dreadlocks were rooted, they were messy, possibly. They may not have been retwisted, and to them, your hair summed up all of you when really your appearance shouldn't, make up for anything of you. Your work ethics, your values, your spirit, your human nature, your personality, your core should represent you. Not how you choose to express yourself. Not if you choose to have body piercings or body modifications, including tattoos or tongue piercing or nose piercings or, the loopholes in your ears. Like none of those things should make someone say you don't deserve a promotion. You don't deserve to have this opportunity because you don't look like the status quote unquote status CEO or director or supervisor or manager. Those things should never, disqualify you or excuse you from having the opportunity to have a seat in the room to be something better for you if you have those gifts, but on the outside, the room can't see it. That should not be fair. And that's why I'm so happy to talk about the Crown Act today because, again, I'm 5 years in this journey. I have not really experienced discrimination on the highest level, but I'm human. I see TikTok, social media, and I see about people in different states and parts of the world going through the most ridiculous, heinous things because of their appearance. And I know Black women and people of different ethnic backgrounds, Dominican, Hispanic, Caribbean islanders, who would love to appear lighter, more fair skinned, or more acceptable, or more was quote unquote the norm to be in the professional corporate environment to get the money they want to get the job opportunity they want to get, to just forget about every core value they have and do whatever they need to do to get to the top. And I'm not talking about sexual gratification or, being salacious, but just saying, some people are literally brainwashed, skin washed, whitewashed into saying that although I feel one way, I gotta go outside and act another. I can't be who I am. I have to be what they say I need to be at this work site or this work location. And that's when it gets a little bit grim, a little bit hinged. If you want to be natural, you should be natural. You want to have dreads, braids, twists, you should do that. And your preference to have those things shouldn't mean you don't get a raise, you don't get a promotion, you don't get an opportunity at a seat at the table to interview, or be able to make more money or represent a team, or take a business or company to the next level based on your talent, experience, and skills and credentials. So shout out to the people who are enforcing the Crown Act. Shout out to the people who are actually signing those Crown Acts in different states in the United States of America. Shout out to the 28 states who have actually signed that piece of paper that say that you can have dreadlocks, braids, twists, body modifications, whatever it is, as long as it's not disturbing the physical force of the company and losing money, to do your job and be yourself and be happy and not put on the face of someone else for 8 hours a day, for 5 days a week, for 365 days a year until you decide to quit that job. Shout out to those people that say you can do that. That's really respectful, really humble of all of you people to do that. Again, I'm only 5 years in this journey, but before I got to this 5 years, I was loose natural for 5 years. I wore afros, twist styles, braid outs, weaves, wigs, all of that crap, protective styles, just to be quote unquote acceptable in the work environment, to have a well, neat, professional appearance. When all actuality, me showing up in clean clothes, smelling good, fresh, should have been my personal appearance. Me showing my bachelor's, master's, and associate's degree should have been my personal appearance. Me being on time, coming in, staying overtime, work through lunch breaks should have been my personal appearance. Not what's on the scalp glued to my head, was glued to the top of my head should have never been my personal appearance. It should have been what I brought to the table, the seat I brought, the credentials, the experience, and the same thing you all guys bring to the table at your workplace. Again, I love where I work at. I love every job I've ever had. I've never caused any crazy rifts to speak out on any derogatory terms at any job. But at the end of the day, We have the Crown Act now, and the Crown Act says you can come to work as you please. You can wear your crown on your head, on your shoulders, your jewel, what makes you feel happy, what makes you feel confident. You can wear that in the workplace, whether it's dreads, twists, braids, locks, an afro, whatever you want. As long as you don't got guns and knives on the top of your head, that's a whole different conversation. You know, as long as nothing is going crazy, you are good to go because you are being you. You're representing the 110% of you. You're showing up to work to do the job you knew you signed up to do. Your hair doesn't change that. Your complexion doesn't change that. Your piercings, your tattoos doesn't change that. Most is not disturbing the peace, disturbing the company, disrespecting the company. You should be a-okay. Thank you guys for listening to that. Again, hopefully the rest of the United States will also enforce and pass the Crown Act. Again, if you do not know, please be sure to Google, YouTube, or go to Pinterest, look on TikTok even, and search the Crown Act. The first thing you'll probably hear about is this young teenage boy in Texas who was suspended from school for not cutting out and removing his dreadlocks and his parents going to court. That may be the first thing you hear, and from there, it will go on a whole deep, dark rabbit hole. But good night. Thank you guys for coming through, showing love, representing. Shout out to Irby Fatal from Florida. He was the first person to think about this conversation about the young boy in high school in Texas that had this crazy outbreak with his parents about the school and them trying to suspend him because of his crown, because of his hair, because of his mane, because of the thing that naturally brought up his scalp unapologetically. So thank you guys. Peace out. On my way to 1K, please share my video, like it, leave a comment, ask me any questions. If you catch this in a replay, let me know what you thought about it. Want to again send a super duper big shout out to Uri Fatal for the conversation and the topic. Super big shout out to Uncommon Hezbollah's Jose and Rome, reaching his 1K subscriber this week. Super proud of you. And good night, guys. Have a blessed one and happy holidays. We out. But again, before you go, the Crown Act. Look it up. Come back. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about it. Thank you for sharing my live stream, Irby. I'm catching up on your side too. Bye, y'all.